Welcome to this deep dive into the Come Follow Me lesson for D&C 102-105, presented by the Speak Peace to My Soul channel. Today we're exploring a really pivotal set of revelations. They often get centered on, the historical expedition known as Zion's Camp. But as scholars like Jared Halverson illuminate, these sections offer, far more than just a historical narrative about early church events in Kirtland and Missouri. Our deep dive today is specifically focused on that overarching theme: after much tribulation cometh the blessing.
Indeed. And it's such a powerful theme. These revelations, Doctrine and Covenants 102 through 105, they provide a truly fascinating glimpse into the very nascent stages of the church. They really beautifully balance the organizational challenges, the financial strains faced by the saints in Kirtland, with the severe persecutions and forced expulsions happening in Missouri. What's particularly profound here, I think, is how the Lord, with his perfect foresight, use these really intense experiences not just to organize his church, but maybe more importantly, to refine and sanctify his people. It's a journey that deeply helps us understand that profound divine connection between the trials we face, personal or collective, and the blessings that invariably follow. It's really more than just history. It's kind of a blueprint for how we can apply these timeless principles to our own discipleship today, deepening our understanding and strengthening our spiritual resolve.
Okay, let's unpack this then, starting with Doctrine and Covenants 102. Jared Halverson, he insightfully starts his look at this section by asking a question that I think we can all relate to, right? Have you ever faced a problem too big for you to handle on your own?
Mm-hmm.
And this section 102, it might look like just meeting minutes at first glance, but it actually reveals foundational, inspired principles for effective counsel and for addressing really difficult, sensitive issues within the church. It's quite powerful.
It really is. And what's truly fascinating here is the Lord's method. He established, through revelation, a system for what we might call horizontal counseling, us counseling with each other. And he did this before he would typically offer vertical revelation directly from him. This foundational principle, it really underscores President Ballard's profound counsel to counsel in our councils, right? Whether that's a state council, a ward council, or importantly, even our own family councils.
Mm-hmm. So it's not just about waiting for answers from heaven, but actively engaging with each other first.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's a vivid illustration of the principle that the Lord often waits for us to diligently exercise our agency, to counsel together, to kind of exhaust our own wisdom and collective insight before he chooses to participate directly and, fill in the gaps. As Jared Halverson points out, it's not that the Lord can't give immediate answers. Of course he can. But he often allows us, maybe even wants us, to learn and grow through that collaboration. It echoes that premise, where two or three are gathered.
Right. There will I be in the midst of them. That makes so much sense. It means we have to really listen, truly listen to each other.
We do. And the necessity of these councils became evident very early on. D&C 102, verse 2, clearly states they were established for settling important difficulties, which could not be settled by the church or the bishop's council. This acknowledges that Joseph Smith didn't just get a fully formed church handbook from the Sacred Grove, right? The church learned on the fly, making adjustments, improving through experience and ongoing revelation.
Learning as they went.
Precisely. And Halverson suggests this highlights the principle of scattered revelation. It's this idea that everyone often has a piece of the puzzle, a perspective, an insight, some experience, and by coming together in council, we can assemble a more complete spirit-guided picture. It encourages humility, doesn't it? Active listening, relying on that collective wisdom, because no single person has all the answers for every complex situation.
I like that phrase, scattered revelation. It really emphasizes how much the Lord trusts us to contribute. So how do we balance that horizontal counseling with, maybe the urgency of some situations and still act according to those divine principles?
That's a crucial question. And the principles in D&C 102 for how these high councils operated give us insight. Verse 4 says council members must act according to the law of heaven and fill their offices according to the grace of God. It's this beautiful, powerful combination, law and grace, obedience and inspiration. It guides navigation through unclear waters. It's not just rigid rules, it's seeking divine guidance, compassion. The ultimate goal is one heart and one mind, ensuring all voices are heard, seen. Halverson talks about preventing the poverty of being heard.
The poverty of being heard. That's powerful. Missing valuable perspectives because people feel unheard.
Exactly. And the guidance on speaking in verses 13 and 14 is also really instructive. 2 counselors speak for non-difficult cases, 4 for difficult, 6 for the most difficult, but in no case shall more than 6 be appointed. Halverson notes this isn't about everyone speaking, which can bog things down. It's about focused discussion to get down to business, avoid just multiplying words without substance, efficiency and effectiveness in seeking resolution.
So purposeful meetings where the Spirit guides and the necessary voices are heard. That's a principle we can apply everywhere, even in family discussions.
Absolutely. And these principles extend to what we now call membership councils, formerly disciplinary councils. Halverson highlights they're genuinely intended as courts of love, aimed squarely at helping individuals repent and access the atonement, not punitive inquisitions. The procedural safeguards are remarkable for their time. Verse 15 says the accused has a right to one half of the counsel to prevent insult or injustice.
Wow, one half. That ensures a level of fairness and empathy.
It does. The individual can challenge council members, ensuring impartiality. The goal is to shed true light, with counselors speaking according to equity and justice, both fairness and compassion. Halverson shares powerful stories of witnessing humility and a sense of shared discipleship in these councils, where the focus is truly on healing, not just judgment. He tells one story, for instance, of someone who felt such overwhelming love and support that they chose repentance out of a desire to return, not out of fear. And council members often express their own imperfections, creating this atmosphere of shared humanity.
That makes such a difference.
And then there's the admission of imperfection in verses 20 and 21. If an error is found in the president's decision, a rehearing is possible. The decision shall be altered. It provides scriptural ways to make adjustments, acknowledging human fallibility while striving for divine guidance.
That's incredibly comforting. It shows the Lord's patience, framing these counsels as paths to healing, emphasizing restoration.
And finally, after all this horizontal counseling comes seeking vertical revelation for doctrine. Verse 23 says, in case of difficulty respecting doctrine or principle, if there is not a sufficiency written, the president may inquire and obtain the mind of the Lord by revelation. It implies we need to do our homework first, right? Hit the books, study what's already revealed, counsel together extensively. But it also acknowledges that some things have not yet been revealed, or maybe existing clarity isn't enough for a new situation. It's a testament to continuous revelation.
Built on a foundation of our collective effort and study.
Exactly, spiritual insight. So think about it. How often do we seek the Lord's mind only after exhausting our own counsel, our diligent study, and the diverse perspectives around us? This section reminds us of that divine pattern. Diligently counsel, invite insights, seek unity before asking the Lord to fill the gaps. This deepens our discipleship, fostering collective wisdom, humility, and a greater appreciation for the gradual unfolding of truth. It's active engagement, not passive reception.
Okay, this is where, for me, it gets really interesting. We move from Kirtland's organizational side to Missouri's intense tribulations. Doctrine and Covenants 103 dives into the Zion's Camp revelations. And the Lord starts with this powerful reminder that, honestly, resonates with anyone facing trials.
Yeah, this section opens with what might seem like the Lord saying, I told you so. But as Jared Halverson points out, it's not condescending at all. It's actually a profound act of divine foresight, a powerful call to remember his earlier promises. This is really relevant for those facing what Halverson calls a faith crisis. Those moments our understanding is tested. The Lord reminds the saints of the promise from D&C 58.4, stating it again here in 103, verse 12. For after much tribulation, as I have said unto you in a former commandment, cometh the blessing.
He pauses right in the middle to say, as I have said unto you, emphasizing it.
He does. Section 58, given way back, was that welcome mat revelation for Zion. It specifically warned them about suffering. It was given before so they wouldn't be blindsided when difficulties came. It's like Jesus telling his disciples about his betrayal and crucifixion, or the future deception of the elect in Joseph Smith Matthew. Halverson explains Jesus gave these warnings before, so that when it happens you actually believe, and your faith is confirmed, not shattered. So the very things that might shake our faith can actually confirm it, showing prophecy fulfilled.
That's such a powerful reframing. Instead of asking, why me, or why this difficulty, we can ask, how is this fulfilling what the Lord already told me? It turns potential doubt into confirmation. Wow.
Spiritual insight. It really is a gift, isn't it? This pattern of forewarning fortifies us. So maybe ponder this. What current prophecies or counsel from living prophets do we need to really lay to heart? What challenges might we be facing that, if we remember the warnings, could actually strengthen our testimony instead of weakening it?
That's a great question to reflect on. Okay, so Zion's Camp itself. Historically, it was about redeeming Zion, right? Gathering an army to reclaim lands.
Yes, historically, that was the mission. Gather volunteers, march to Missouri, reclaim the lands the saints were illegally driven from. A physical journey, a temporal goal. But Jared Halverson offers this powerful modern analogy. He sees Zion's camp as a metaphor for helping people in faith crisis, those who've left or are struggling within the church. The question becomes, how do we help them come back to the place the Lord has designated as his true church? He suggests the enemies in D&C 101, the walls, towers, watchmen, could represent the barrage of anti-church messages we see today online, often from former members, formidable obstacles.
That's a really relevant analogy for today.
It is, and the Lord's timing, when I will, from D&C 101, reminds us that while we do our best, the ultimate redemption happens on his timetable. That applies to individual journeys, too, like the prodigal son. We do our part, exercise faith, but trust his pace and power.
So it's a spiritual blueprint, not just history. But the text says redemption comes by power, D&C 103.15. How does that fit with a patient, loving approach?
That's a critical distinction. The redemption of Zion must needs come by power. But Halverson clarifies, this wasn't coercive military power, nor is it about emotional manipulation. It was meant to be a force of faith, the power of priesthood, ultimately that endowment of power from on high they'd receive in Kirtland soon after. We can't force prodigals home through arguments or coercion. It requires a power of love, a power of compassion. The saints are called children of Israel, seed of Abraham, verses 17-18, meant for gathering. Maybe wandering prodigals through their experiences make connections that bring others back with them eventually, a broader purpose we might not see.
An unexpected path to gathering.
And here's a crucial difference from the Exodus. D&C 103, verse 20 says, "Mine angel shall go up before you, and also my presence." That's incredibly reassuring. The Lord promises personal participation. Unlike ancient Israel after the golden calf, where he said only angels would go, here he pledges his personal presence. So, let not your heart faint. Verse 19 is powerful counsel for anyone worrying over loved ones struggling. It connects right to D&C 101. All mine Israel shall be saved. They who have mourned shall be comforted. Halverson says we can bank on that. The Lord is personally invested.
His personal presence. That's truly comforting. We don't carry that burden alone. It's his work.
Indeed. And this discipleship calls us to lay down his life for my sake. D&C 103.27. Halverson explains this isn't just about a single heroic act. It's about constant and continual day-to-day acts of discipleship, like patiently loving a struggling son, having compassion for a daughter making different choices, learning the worth of every human soul through challenging relationships. This daily sacrifice, this ongoing investment is where all victory and glory is brought to pass unto you through your diligence, faithfulness, and prayers of faith. Verse 36. That's where we learn discipleship.
Reframing, laying down our lives into daily, quiet, Christ-like love. That makes it very real. But what about when our efforts seem insufficient? When the outcome isn't what we hoped for?
That's where the Lord's final counsel in this section is so vital. Leave the residue in my hands. D&C 103.4. It's about trusting God's power, his process, his pace. Halverson calls it the 3 Ps. Especially with loved ones who struggle. We do our part, diligence, faithfulness, prayer, daily love, and then we trust him with the outcome. It acknowledges agency, both ours and theirs, and that God's timing is perfect. It frees us from the anxiety of trying to control everything.
Trusting the 3 Ps, power, process, pace. I like that.
Spiritual insight. The Lord's warnings fortify us. Our biggest challenges, like loving those who stray, are profound opportunities for growth, for learning to lay down our lives daily in Christ-like love. Trusting his pace and his personal involvement brings peace amidst our effort.
Okay, from the spiritual battles of Zion's camp, we pivot back to Kirtland, section 104. This tackles very temporal things, finances, welfare, but reveals they are deeply spiritual matters.
Yes, this revelation from 1834 directly addresses the church's financial difficulties, then heavy debts, temple expenses, establishing Zion. It lays out the Lord's foundational principles for welfare, consecration, stewardship. It really challenges our usual ideas of ownership versus stewardship. It makes us think deeply about how our financial choices reflect our discipleship, revealing the Lord's own way of providing.
The Lord's own way. Tell us more about that.
Well, it centers on the united firm, often called the United Order. It was organized, verse 1 says, for the benefit of my church and for the salvation of men until I come. What's crucial, as Jared Halverson notes, is that even if the specific program changed, the underlying priorities and principles caring for the poor, building the kingdom, remained everlasting. Principles are eternal, programs adapt. Faithfulness brings multiplicity of blessings, verse 2. Unfaithfulness being nigh unto cursing, verse 3. Direct spiritual consequences for financial choices and living consecration.
A stark reminder. It's about aligning our hearts with God's eternal priorities, not just a program.
Indeed. And the Lord establishes himself as creator and owner in verse 14. I, the Lord, stretched out the heavens and built the earth. All things therein are mine. And as a loving father, he states his purpose to provide for my saints, for all things are mine. Verse 15. This is foundational. God wouldn't create scarcity. The problem isn't his provision, but our misuse of agency, our failure to distribute his resources his way. That's why it is expedient that I should make every man accountable as a steward. Verse 13. We manage his resources, not our own.
Stewardship, not ownership. That's a huge mental shift.
It is. And his own way of providing is distinctive. That the poor shall be exalted and that the rich are made low, verse 16. A role reversal, emphasizing humility, equality. It's not forced redistribution, but relies on changed hearts, agency, voluntary consecration. For the earth is full and there is enough and to spare. Yea, I prepared all things, verse 17. This counters any scarcity mindset. Scarcity comes from human selfishness, not God's lack of provision. And the warning for those who don't share, he shall with the wicked lift up his eyes in hell, being in torment, verse 18, referencing the rich man and Lazarus, a powerful motivator for generosity.
That verse, the earth is full, really hits hard against the scarcity mindset so common today, if only we'd align with God's plan. But stewardship over ownership is tough in our society.
Precisely. That mindset shift is key. The Revelation hammers on stewardship 25 times, while worldly ownership is condemned. Halverson points this out. Verse 55 warns, Behold, all these properties are mine, or else your faith is vain, and ye are found hypocrites. Incredibly direct. Recognizing God as owner makes generosity easier. We're fellow children who belong to God, managing his gifts, more willing to share. It's about detaching our hearts from things, reattaching them to God and others.
A crucial shift for becoming a Zion people.
Absolutely. And another critical part is conquering debt. It is my will that you shall pay all your debts, verse 78. Debt is portrayed as bondage, verse 83, restricting freedom, service. Being debt-free comes through diligence, humility, and the prayer of faith, verse 79, spiritual as much as temporal, and the Lord makes this remarkable promise. I will soften the hearts of those to whom you are in debt until I shall send means unto you for your deliverance, verse 80.
Soften the hearts of creditors. That's amazing.
It is. Halverson shares stories of this happening. Creditors suddenly becoming compassionate, negotiating terms, unexpected income appearing, quiet, tender mercies allowing deliverance, and the Lord's promise of victory and deliverance this once, verses 82-83, is significant. It suggests he'll help us out, but the expectation is we learn, we strive to stay out of debt, permanent change in habits.
Wow. God's personal involvement in our temporal affairs, even softening hearts. A powerful invitation to faith and diligence in our stewardship. Very practical.
Spiritual insight. Our financial decisions are deeply spiritual. Embracing stewardship over ownership fosters a celestial mindset, enabling us to provide for others and overcome personal financial bondage. It reflects deep trust in God's abundance and our role as his agents in his own way, foundational for Zion.
Okay, so as Zion's camp finishes this march, they're expecting battle, right? To reclaim lands by force. But D&C 105 delivers this profound, unexpected message. It shifts the whole focus.
It's a truly pivotal moment. It reveals the Lord's definition of redemption was much grander, more spiritual than just reclaiming land. It teaches that timeless lesson. Becoming a Zion people, sanctified, united, is the prerequisite to building a Zion place. Deeply relevant today. As a Come Follow Me lesson says, the real task is to follow the Savior even when we don't understand everything. Requires immense faith, humility.
Trusting his perspective over our immediate desires.
Exactly. And the Lord immediately clarifies why Zion wasn't redeemed yet. Verse 2. Were it not for the transgressions of my people, they might have been redeemed even now. He emphasizes collective responsibility, speaking concerning the church and not individuals. And he lists why. Have not learned to be obedient, full of all manner of evil, do not impart of their substance, are not united, verses 3-4. Direct opposites of Zion's definition, one heart, one mind, righteousness, no poor. Verse 5 is unequivocal. Zion cannot be built up unless it is by the principles of the law of the celestial kingdom. A celestial place requires a celestial people.
So not a failure of effort, but a refocusing on the internal work needed first. A challenging mirror for us, individually and collectively.
Indeed, which led to necessary chastening. Verse 6. My people must needs be chastened until they learn obedience by the things which they suffer. The goal is a humble, obedient people. He tells them to wait for a little season for the redemption of Zion, verse 9. That little season has, extended, showing the preparations ongoing. Zion's camp's true purpose was personal, collective growth, that they themselves may be prepared, taught more perfectly, have experience, know more perfectly concerning their duty, verse 10. A school of hard knocks, shaping future leaders.
Forging character, testing faith in ways prosperity couldn't.
Precisely. And this preparation was linked to a future endowment, verse 11. This cannot be brought to pass until mine elders are endowed with power from on high. The Kirtland Temple was essential for that, and while they prepared for battle, the Lord affirmed, I will fight your battles. Verse 14. The storm at Fishing River, as Halverson describes, was a powerful demonstration. Just as they were about to clash, a sudden fierce storm dispersed their enemies, prevented bloodshed without them fighting. A true trial of their faith. Verse 19, like Abraham's test, trusting God even when their own efforts seem necessary.
A beautiful demonstration of divine intervention operating beyond our expectations. Trusting him even when things go differently than planned.
And this trust extends to how we redeem prodigals, interact with those struggling. Verse 24's counsel is remarkably relevant. Talk not of judgments, neither boast of faith, but carefully gather, consistently with the feelings of the people. So applicable today. Halverson suggests avoiding judgment, boasting, moral high horses. Instead, maybe reframe the conversation as an interfaith dialogue to equalize things, respect their view, seek favor and grace in their eyes, verses 25-26, maintain relationships, prioritize love over legalism, Halverson emphasizes, agree to disagree without becoming disagreeable.
Crucial advice today. Build bridges, not walls.
Yeah.
Focus on connection, empathy, not winning arguments.
Yes. And the Lord adds patience. I will soften the hearts of the people as I did the heart of Pharaoh from time to time, verse 27. This reminds us that softening hearts takes immense patience. Growth comes at the prodigal pace, unique to each person, often from time to time, not on our schedule. It frees us to just love, understand, invite.
The prodigal pace, that takes the pressure off trying to force things.
Spiritual insight. The Lord's gentle approach shows his trust and agency. Our discipleship deepens as we approach others with Christ-like love, respect for their feelings, a willingness to sue for peace, creating an environment where the Spirit can soften hearts at the Lord's pace. This culminates in a call to sanctification, becoming a church worth returning to, verses 31-32. First, let my army become very great, and let it be sanctified before me, that the kingdoms of this world may be constrained to acknowledge that the kingdom of Zion is in very deed the kingdom of our God. It's about spiritual quality, not just quantity, becoming sanctified soldiers, a Zion people whose lives naturally draw others to inquire about its laws, its strength. Joseph Smith taught Zion's cramp's purpose was to fight the natural man within, not Missourians, to prepare leaders through a sacrifice as great as did Abraham, as Halverson reminds us.
A sacrifice that forged indispensable spiritual strength.
Exactly. Many participants, like Brigham Young, Wilford Woodruff, testified of the profound growth gained, proving sacrifice brings immense spiritual blessings even without the expected temporal outcome. The Lord says, there has been a day of calling, but the time has come for a day of choosing, and let those be chosen that are worthy. Verse 35. Emphasizing agency, righteousness. And finally, sue for peace. Lift up an ensign of peace, make a proclamation of peace, verses 38-39. Halverson likens it to asking, comest thou peaceably? Encouraging a peaceful, non-judgmental, inviting approach always.
A living ensign of peace.
Final provocative thought. So ponder this. How can becoming a church worth returning to in our own communities by embodying Zion's laws of unity, peace, righteousness be the most powerful proclamation of peace? How can our lives become that living ensign, drawing others through compelling example and unconditional love, not coercion?
We've really taken a deep dive today into Doctrine and Covenants 102 through 105, from those intricate organizational principles in Kirtland, establishing patterns for collaboration and healing, to the Lord's powerful I told you so, warnings that actually fortify faith, the profound analogy of Zion's camp as a test and spiritual blueprint, those foundational principles of stewardship reshaping our temporal lives, and that ultimate call to become a sanctified, peaceful, unified Zion people. Wow. These revelations are just brimming with relevant counsel for our discipleship today.
They really are. We've learned God's plan is always to prepare us, teach us, refine us, even through tribulation. The journey to Zion, it seems, is less about a place and much more about the people we become. It's about diligent discipleship, seeking collective counsel, trusting God's timing and process, conquering personal bondage, and above all, approaching others with the grace, compassion, and love of Christ. May we each ponder what stood out to us today and really strive to apply these eternal truths in our daily lives, becoming more like Him.
Until next time, may we remember Him more, follow Him closer, and rejoice in His light. If you enjoyed today's study, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit from it.